You're learning a lesson about self-centeredness, sacred selfishness, and just flat out selfishness, kind of towing that line, you know. And I think that this is maybe requiring a little bit more work from you than you realized, because as you know, are showing up here, that there's something about not necessarily being willing to do things that don't feel natural, that don't feel good to you. And simultaneously, you kind of being in the depths of some situation here, darkening, lightening, and tin, kind of being spread thin. You're kind of in the depths of a situation that might require a lot of like heavy lifting here, things that, excuse me, you know, maybe are impacting your physical health even. Things that just kind of need to get done, and there's no real escaping that, you know, there's no real getting away from what just needs to be done, you know. You can't, the wheel never stops turning. But there's so much here, the sun, Jupiter, and Peacock's tail, that says that this balance that you're striking, this work that you're doing, this card speaks a lot to, you know, the process requiring you to roll up your sleeves. You know, things are kind of getting started, or maybe the hard work is getting started, but it's to your benefit here. You know, it's, I feel like I've been speaking to a collective, I've been tapped into a collective here and there who is really being prepared to step out as a new self. Maybe something that you've put up on the shelf for a while is coming back out, kind of getting dusted off. We have the sun in both decks here. The sun here is really speaking to you, who you are, your vitality, your vigor. It's kind of a masculine card, but it's really more about the body. And there's a few things here about the body. So kind of the way that I'm seeing this is like physically stepping out, or even being put on display in a way. So you get more about your current situation. Page of Cups. 10 of Wands. Yeah, you are, you know, 10 of Wands is bringing me to this lead card that I showed you a moment ago. It might almost feel like, I feel like all of the catastrophizing that you've done in your life is kind of like played out, you know. You're almost at this point of not saying like F it, but saying like, what can I do? A tower's gonna fall, a tower's gonna fall. You know, like they're built to fall. I feel like there's a kind of acceptance that the God of your understanding, that life has really imparted into you, that is really beneficial for that sacred selfishness that you're learning how to embody here, that you're learning how to embrace. The Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, so it's kind of taking you off on this new path. Again, I'm seeing someone like opening a door and stepping through and saying like, hello, it's me, you know. This is really bothering me. I cannot get my bangs to behave today. So where are you going? Where is this taking you? The Lovers. Temperance coming out reversed. Well, this is interesting. Where is this taking you? Well, there is another cycle. This is the second time we've had the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So there is another cycle taking place here. One that, oh, this is really interesting, actually. I feel like there's an incoming situation that has the potential, because in the past, maybe it had, like, maybe this is something that's happened before. You know, there's something in your life, someone else is involved, that it kind of happens every now and then. You know, it could be a conversation, it could be a certain event, it could be just a cycle that you can identify. Whether or not you've identified it yet doesn't really matter, but there's something kind of happening again, and it might happen kind of swiftly, and you have the opportunity here to completely point this in a different direction. But something that is very clear is that, you know, this does require some agency from you. And this is why that sacred selfishness message is so important, because if you, and you've learned this, right? If you are not able to take time to reflect, if you do not have space in your life that designates, you know, self-awareness, that designates nourishment to you, then you can't, you won't have the wherewithal, you won't have the perspective that you need in order to kind of change the direction of the wheel, or maybe get off of the wheel altogether, right? Like there's something here about what you are paying attention to, what energies you are choosing to engage with, and what you are not. This is really speaking to me, this 5 of Swords and 8 of Swords. It's almost like, with the 8 of Wands here, it's almost like, you know, we are coming up on an eclipse. This is a timeless reading, but at the time I'm recording it, we are coming up on an eclipse, and there is something about eclipses that can feel like an emergency. Like I always say that God, the God of your understanding, designed eclipses to be scary. You know, imagine being a caveman and like you go out and you expect to see the moon, and, or, you know, yeah, you go out and you expect to see the sun and the sun is completely black, you know, or you're expecting a full moon because I used to live like by the moon and the moon is not there. You know, it's kind of scary. I've heard it described as like going to a party when you're a teenager and the cops are already there, you know? So there is something about this that can create a feeling of panic or uncertainty or a need to like prove yourself or be heard or get ahead or something like this. And it's like, hey, you know, Anant is all about cycles here, and then the Queen of Pentacles. There is, yeah, and then splitting to the Magician, you know, like there is an opportunity here to, I think, make light or take a different approach, as long as you're thinking and considering the existence of inner children is something that's coming through here. That feels a little, not like a stretch, but it feels like, meh. Let me get a little bit more here for you. I'm curious about like the other person involved for you. Like what's their role? How are they showing up here? 2 of Swords. 9 of Swords reversed. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hang on. I almost feel like this person is judging you in a way, or judging themselves and then projecting it onto you. The Emperor and the Page of Swords kind of speaking very flippantly and then standing on it. You ever listen to someone talk and you're like, I can't fucking take you seriously, you know? This person, you know, may or may not have messed something up between the two of you in this situation, and they're showing up as being very caring about this. They're showing up as the Queen of Cups, and we also have the 2 of Cups here. So whatever this is, if you're approaching it from a place that prioritizes your, I guess, the way that you respond needs to kind of be calm. You know, the way that you act in this situation, I feel like you already have existing tension with this person, or resentment is coming up here. There's like resentment that's been built up between you and the situation, or you and the person. Maybe you feel like you're owed things that you didn't get. This person is understanding of that, but their knee-jerk reaction to something is not necessarily them backpedaling or trying to harm you in any way. This is not nearly as serious as it may seem in the moment, I will say. There is a happy outcome, but only as long as you are able to really work together on the situation. So your relationship with yourself, your sacred selfishness, right? Finding a balance in that is the path that you're currently on directly impacts this union.